What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the rogue one, Gary Whitta.
Hello.
Hello.
Back. I didn't see you last week because you were at E3.
I was.
I was out of town also. I was kind of doing watching the live streams.
Sure.
Remotely.
Here and there.
I caught quite a bit of your stuff.
How did we do?
Caught some of your EA Play stuff.
How'd I do?
You were great, of course.
Okay,
of course.
thanks.
You always get your money's worth when you hire Greg Miller.
That's what you're right.
I saw you on the GameSpot couch.
Sure, yeah.
You were everywhere.
That's what I do, man.
You were
You know what I
everywhere.
mean? Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah,
Andrea is the busiest lady in the business. I can be the busiest
You're
man
the hardest
in the
working man in show business.
Exactly,
You're the new James Brown.
Exactly. What were you doing? Where
I was working on a movie gig, on a movie project out in New York.
Book Eli too.
Well, I was very happy to be in New York. I love New York.
Yeah.
The hotel they put me in was right next to a cheesecake factory.
Oh, you were in
so
hog heaven.
I very rarely get to go to the cheesecake factory here in the city. Is always it's at the top of the Macy's department store.
Yeah.
And it's always packed out. You can never get in.
Yeah.
This one,
hottest reservation in town. They say.
oh my
about
god,
the
yeah,
Cheesecake
hottest ticket
Factory
in town.
SF.
But this one where I was in White Plains, New York.
Yeah.
Which is upstate, kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Gotcha.
And my hotel was right next to it. So when I was done by like 5 o'clock each day. My work day was done. So when I moseyed over there at like 5 o'clock. It's totally open.
Yeah.
I got the new Cake Pay app.
What's that?
It's like Apple Pay, but for the Cheesecake Factory.
Wow,
they have their own
go.
thing.
Oh my god.
And I think the Cheesecake Factory gets a bad rep.
Does it now?
I enjoy the Cheesecake Factory.
I've only been a handful of times, and I would say I started going a handful of times in the last few years. And
It's the overwhelming menu, I think, puts a lot of people off.
but they got those Buffalo Blasts.
Buffalo Blast,
Yeah,
that's
like,
your go-to?
Oh my god, yeah, as an
it's a
appetizer.
party.
They're like,
Yeah.
it's like a fried wonton with buffalo chicken in it.
Oh, I might have to try that next time.
Oh my God, they're
I got the
delicious.
dynamite shrimp,
Yeah.
and it was very good.
Yeah. Tell me more about the Cheesecake app, though. So is this like a Starbucks thing where I'm
So
preloading it with money?
it's called Cake Pay.
Okay, Cake
of all
Pay.
things.
Sure.
Because here's what happened.
Well, please lay it on me.
I went out to the Cheesecake Factory and I left my wallet at home.
Oh.
But I have Apple Pay. And more places are taking that now.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I can just pay with my phone. I don't need to go back to the hotel and get my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked it up, like Cheesecake Factory Apple Pay, and it led me to this Cake Pay app. And it's really weird. It's it seems like an additional unnecessary step.
Uh-huh.
You link your Apple Pay to Cake Pay.
Yeah, this does seem
and then you use
unnecessary.
Cake Pay to pay for your cake.
Sure. Okay.
Which seems like, do I
Are
really
you
need
earning
the extra
points in the Cake
I guess
Pay?
maybe you're earning
Okay,
loyalty points or
okay.
something.
Sure.
But I didn't have to go back and get my wallet, and the wait staff, they weren't that familiar with the app, but they figured it out.
Good.
Super nice. One of the things I like about the Cheesecake Factory is they would make you feel very welcome.
Yeah.
They're always really nice and friendly.
When you hear your family.
Yeah, it's super. That's a different place, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
Isn't that the Olive Garden?
It is the Olive Garden.
That's the Olive Garden.
Yeah, that's the Olive Garden. Yeah.
Which I like also.
Yeah,
You ever
yeah.
go to the Olive Garden here in San Francisco?
You know who loves the Olive Garden here in San Francisco? Andrea Renee.
Oh, she
so
does?
There's been a few times we've
I would have
wrapped a
thought
game daily.
that I don't want to. I love Andrea, but I thought she might have seen herself like a little bit above the
Here's
kind of the
thing
cheesy chain
about
restaurant.
Andrea Renee, I think she's as happy at an Olive Garden as she is at the finest dining.
She's a woman for all seasons.
Getting puck, whatever. You know what I mean? Like she's from the middle of the country, Fargo, North Dakota. She's bootstrapped. She understands what's up.
Oh, that's what I mean. So she comes from kind of from dirt, basically.
Sure,
like
exactly.
the rest of us.
Yeah. Sometimes I remind her she is dirt still. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Today we'll be talking about Breath of the Wild sequel, Bernie Sanders talking video games, and a whole bunch of Gary Whitta related questions.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. You can leave your questions, comments, concerns, everything under the video game sun. Then I put it in the show, which you can watch as we record it live on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to KindaFunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames. roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you. Remember, we have launched We Have Cool Friends. It's a new interview show. You can go over to youtube.com/kindafunny or podcast services and subscribe and watch. So far, Devin Sawa, Anthony Rapp, both on it.
I saw a bit of that yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday you put a new one up?
Monday.
The day before?
Monday. They pop
I
on
can't
Mondays.
watch it. You were on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you popped
yeah.
in. You said, who's this guy?
Yeah, that's right. I popped onto Twitch to see who's live, and I saw
Yeah.
you were live. I thought, what's this?
Yeah.
Checked it out.
New
Talked
show.
to someone. And I
Yeah.
was like, who's this guy? And they told me this guy was.
Yeah. check it out. YouTube.com/kindafunny. Please subscribe over there. Watch it. Podcast service is slowly rolling out to everything.
Who you got
It's
lined
on
up for
Apple.
that? Are you able to reveal who you might have lined up for future
I believe
cool friends?
so. Josh McCouga coming up.
Okay,
he's
who's that?
going to be part of it. You know Josh. You've
Do I?
run into Josh. He's the guy who comes here and he wears loud suits and he's basically a better Nick. He does the Newlywed Game with us. He did Josh Birdie.
a better
They're going to do a
okay.
deep dive interview
Okay.
with him and stuff. That man. Mega Ran on the hook to come in. Cameron
Okay.
Cuff coming up eventually.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. We got some good people.
Before we move on, just one quick shout out. You know who I thought was, I mean, everyone at Kind of Funny did great stuff at E3.
Thank you.
You know who I think's the rising star, for me was the breakout star of
Who's that?
E3? And I think actually is going to go on to do great things. I think he's a natural. Snowbike Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Terrific.
100%.
Absolute natural in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I think he's got a big career ahead of him.
I do
doing
too.
something in front of a camera.
100
Whatever
I
it is.
100%
His
agree
energy
with
is just so infectious. I love it.
100% that.
Yeah.
I think Snowbike
Really
Mike
enjoyed watching him.
is incredibly talented. I
Yeah.
don't think he believes in himself enough. He keeps always, when I give him these opportunities,
really?
he's always like, he's doing this Snowbike Mike way. Like, Greg, thank you. Blah, blah. But it's like he doesn't, he's,
No, he posted one of his E3 videos
Yeah.
and I tweeted about it. Said, dude, you're a natural. And,
Yeah.
I feel like when people don't
Hear
are
it
a little
enough.
bit like, really, am I good? Like
Yeah.
they need to hear that.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't always validate themselves internally, so they got to. So you got to like give it to them from the outside.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I think Snowbike Mike's gonna be a big deal. You
I
heard
agree.
it here first.
Yeah, breaking news from Gary Wood. He's got the seal of approval. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Daniel Massey, Blackjack, Colton Yoder, and Mohammed. Today we're brought to you by GrubHub, Broklinen, and Quip, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 3 items on the Roper Report.
Oh, Baker's dozen.
The E3 hangover continues as the news.
So we all
At
the
a
main
drip
E3
pace.
news happened last week. Now we're
Everybody's
getting like the
spent.
dreg. Now we've got the dregs.
Everybody's laying on their beds, all sweaty, just huffing and puffing. You know what I
bottom
mean?
of
They
the
gave it
barrel
everything they
E3
could.
news.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
here we are. Number 1 comes from Jason over at Kotaku, where he's talking about the Breath of the Wild sequel origin stories. He was talking to Anum over there, basically how this came to be. It's a great read. Tried it through Translator. A whole bunch of great questions over there. But the one that pertains to us right now reads like this. Jason says, what made you and the team decide to make a sequel to Breath of the Wild as opposed to a new Zelda game? Anuma says, when we released the DLC for Breath of the Wild, we realized that this is a great way to add more elements to the same world. But when it comes down to technical things, DLC is pretty much data. You're adding data to a pre-existing title. And so when we wanted to add bigger changes, DLC is not enough. And that's why we thought maybe a sequel would be a good fit. Jason then says, was this sequel originally planned as DLC? And Anuma says, initially we were thinking of just DLC ideas. And then we had a lot of ideas and we said, this is too many ideas. Let's just make one new game and start from scratch. Hell yeah, Gary.
I'm
Don't be
excited.
afraid of it. Lean into it.
Breath of the Wild was probably the game of the year last year in our house. My wife put so many hours into it, and our kid too. Absolutely loved it.
First off, that's a lie. Last year, your game of the year.
My game of the year was Spider-Man.
Sure.
But I would, if you took a vote in our house,
Yeah.
I think Breath of the Wild
Are you
would be
sure
the
not
winner.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
actually,
You said last
you
year.
know what I mean?
2 years ago is when Breath of the Wild came out.
Okay, the year that Breath of the Wild
Don't
was
get him
out
on
there, that's the
technicalities,
game of the
Greg.
year.
I'm
Don't
just
do
letting
it.
you know
Don't do
I
this
won't
to
let
him.
him
No,
besmirch Leah's good name
you're right.
when she
my
was
wife
all
would
over
say,
Assassin's.
my wife would say Assassin's Creed Odyssey. She's got more hours in that than anything. But Breath of the Wild was definitely, dare I say, a breath of fresh air for the Zelda franchise.
There you go.
And I'm very glad they're making a sequel. Maybe Barrett knows the answer to this if you don't.
Barrett!
He just walked away to get me.
When's the last time? Because it's again, usually when they Jason asks a good question here, because typically each new Zelda game is its own new thing, right? Different somewhere else in the timeline.
Yeah, what you think
different art style, just a different approach.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now we know the original The Legend of Zelda on the NES.
Sure.
Then he did Zelda 2. Which was a different style. Even though it was a straight sequel, it was a different style, side-scrolling. But is that the last time that there was a straight-up Zelda sequel and not just a whole new game?
Majora's Mask.
What was Majora's
Oh.
Mask the sequel to, though?
Ocarina of Time.
It was?
Yeah, that was the same.
But it wasn't called Ocarina of Time 2.
Oh, that's what you're asking.
what-
When was the
that-
last time
that-
there was a Zelda that just had a number on it?
Well, not even just a number, but it was like, but in every way was like, yes, this is a direct sequel to the previous game.
So Barrett's sitting down. He's a Zelda expert, apparently.
Zelda, did you hear the question?
No.
When's the last time, because Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be coming out, and that's a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. When is the last time that Nintendo did that? Instead of the next Zelda game being a whole new approach, it was a direct sequel to the previous game.
Are we talking about mainline series, or are we talking about like the Phantom Hourglass?
See, that's
stuff?
where I was gonna go. I would say mainline. It's Majora's Mask.
Yes.
But if we want to get out into the weeds, they're like the DS titles. And
Yeah, like you have Phantom Hourglass, which is like a sequel to Wind Waker. And then there's a sequel after that I forget. And
Spirit
it's
Tracks?
kind of like Spirit Tracks,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the sequel
But if
to
this
that.
game is actually called Breath of the Wild 2,
it will not be called
Yeah,
Breath of
this
the
you
Wild.
don't think it, you don't think it will be?
Not a chance in hell.
Because that's what I'm saying. That hasn't happened since Zelda 2 on the NES, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's kind of
With
what I was
like
getting
actual
at.
2 in the title, yeah, I don't think it's happened since then.
Because I think it's typically these approaches are kind of one and done approaches. They'll do a game in a certain way, and then the next game will come out. It'll be a totally new part of the timeline, different story, different art style, totally different approach.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild, we've seen enough from the trailer to know it's basically more Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That it was enough of a hit that they're thinking rather than reinvent the wheel again, let's stick with this because people really like it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a smart idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
everyone
doesn't-
loves
who
that
doesn't
world.
want- who
Everybody loves
doesn't
that
want more
style.
of that game, basically.
Yeah. And people were like you had Jared Petty like asking for
Oh, Doki Doki.
RPG, JRPGs. Like since Breath of the Wild came out, he has been talking about like wanting like a Majora's Mask style like
totally. Fran too.
sequel, and Fran as well. And it's kind of been in the car, like it's been something a lot of people have asked for. So I think that the fact that they had so many ideas for DLC, and the fact that they probably saw a lot of people being like, it would be really cool if we had a follow-up specifically in this world, in this engine, and do like a weird Majora's Mask like take on a sequel. That's probably why they're like, yeah, might as well,
I think it's great, and in the case of Breath of the Wild, then yeah, certainly the Whitta household will be happy to see more Breath of the Wild. But one of the things I like about the Zelda franchise is they don't just stick with one thing, right? Every new game is they reinvent the wheel a little bit.
Usually
different
have, like, a
approach,
new
different
shtick.
art style, totally different chronology.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
keeping up the Zelda chronology is actually really difficult to track,
timeline,
right?
yeah.
It's a
Let me
mess.
tell you, I did a lot of extensive research last night because
Because you're going to try to play them all in chronological order, right?
Are you?
Yeah.
I didn't hear this.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, I've seen some videos on this,
Yeah.
and it's not. It doesn't all make sense, right?
It
the
doesn't all
chronology.
make sense, but it's also not as complicated as people make it out to be. Just because if you do enough, if you look up like just even one video and they explain like, oh, there's 3 timelines after Ocarina of Time, depending on what the outcome is of the end of that game, and then the reason it's all weird now is because of Breath of the Wild, actually, because there's references to all 3 different timelines in that game. So it's like, do they converge at one point, or like how does this connect to everything else? But I think they keep it vague enough specifically for interpretation. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you have it. You're wrong over here.
Already chiming
not
in?
even that you're wrong as much as some just clarification and stuff. Zyger points out that regarding the Legend of Zelda sequels, Phantom Hourglass on Nintendo 3DS is a direct sequel to Wind Waker, which we said, taking place directly after the events of Wind Waker. And
Right.
Spirit Tracks takes place 1,000 years after that.
Yeah, but it's still directly connected because there's a character from Petra's crew that's in Spirit Tracks.
Gotcha.
And it's the Zelda in that game is like Petra's descendant.
But
like, direct
even though
descendant.
from a story chronology standpoint, those games were different in their own ways. Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild 2 is like it's just. I mean, obviously it'll add new stuff, but it's basically just more. It's the same style. It's the same characters. It feels
Right.
like a direct continuation
Oh, yeah.
in every way of
Yeah.
the previous game.
And then
Yeah.
Nanobiologist chimes in, A Link Between Worlds is technically a sequel to A Link to the Past and is considered an indirect sequel to the game with the same world but different people inhabiting it.
I think you may have bitten off more than you can chew here, my friend.
No, that one I slightly agree with.
slightly
But
agree with.
it's a weird one where A Link Between Worlds takes place after Link's Awakening, so it's like it's weird. Zelda's dumb, but I love it, and yes, I'm weirdly obsessed with wanting to replay all the mainline games in chronological.
Do it!
I'm gonna do it. I have to do a bunch of research on how to play Skyward Sword on the Wii U and dumb stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun because you still have
We
to use.
loaded nunchuck like a man.
Yeah, you got to do the motion controls and stuff. God, I hate that game, but I'm gonna do it.
Man.
All right. We wish you well.
Number 2 on the Roper Report, Senator Bernie Sanders chimed in about game unions yesterday. This is he tweeted basically a link to Times article. Every game you like is built on the backs of workers. Video game creators are burned out and desperate for change. He tweets that link out with this text. The video game industry made $43 billion in revenue last year. The workers responsible for that profit deserve to collectively bargain as part of a union. I'm glad to see unions like @IATSE and the broader @Game Workers movement organizing such workers. That was out of the blue.
Yeah, a little bit, because you don't think of someone like Bernie
Sanders being a big video game fan.
Well, I mean, yes, but of course, what he's really addressing is a subject that he does talk about a lot, which is unionization and fair play to workers and things like that. Bernie's wouldn't be my choice for the Democratic nomination, but I like a lot of the things that he does talk about.
Goddamn hippie.
Financial and social equality, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been saying I'm a union man. I'm a member of the Writers Guild of America. Without that guild, I wouldn't have my health insurance. I wouldn't have any of the pay and employment protections that I enjoy.
Yeah.
As a screenwriter in Hollywood, I get treated like shit, but there's a degree to which you can treat me like shit because the Writers Guild protects me.
Sure.
Without that, the degree to which I would be treated like shit, like there'd be no floor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could
There'd
probably
be new
I could
depths
probably
every
get
day.
physically assaulted and all kinds of horrible things would happen to me. So thank God for my union, and because I enjoy those protections, I wish that other creatives and other people working in other endeavors could have those protections and those benefits as well. And I think that we're seeing more. I like the fact that Bernie's talking about this, brings it into the spotlight because he's a national figure.
Yeah.
And anything he turns his attention to and decides to talk about becomes news, at least for 5 minutes. So I'm grateful for him putting a spotlight on it, and I agree with everything he says on this issue. And with everything that we're talking, I think, it's nice to have that. He'll be talking about something else next week. But I think what we're seeing is that is possibly more consequential is this groundswell of conversation about crunch and how games are built often on the back-breaking labor of people who make games. We saw it was a big topic at E3.
Yeah.
Nintendo were applauded for pushing back Animal Crossing and saying we care about work-life balance. Other game developers were coming out because in part because it's the right thing to do, in part because they have to now. They can't get away with it anymore.
Those clowns at Iron Galaxy were in the news yesterday for how they don't do it.
Right.
Adam Boyes and Dave Lang over
Talking
here.
about how they just don't want to work anymore. I like Dave Lang saying,
I don't want to work
point in my
anymore.
life where I just don't want to work. I totally relate to that. We all do get to that point, some quicker than others. But it's coming. The day is coming. I do think we're going to see unionization, and I think it'll be a good day when that happens. What's your view on this?
On unionization?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, in this instance, it's of course not not my side of the industry. I've never been part of a union. Obviously, I think, you talk about game writers unions being a thing now. As you see Jason tweet about that or talk about that a lot.
Do you think that unionization can offer the solution, or at least part of the solution, to game crunch and these issues?
I think
that
it
we're
can
seeing?
help. Yeah, I think it can definitely help. Collective bargaining on that level definitely can. Like, I think it's fun. I'm sticking with this. Stick with me. It's gonna be a walk. Yesterday on the show, when it was me and Andrea, we were talking about something else. Oh, the movement of how it was a question from the audience about how the movement at E3 was hey, we're continuing our games with free content. Keep doing this. And is this sustainable for the industry? Is this a good thing? Blah, blah. I said what I liked about that and how that's been happening is that we talk about this on such a granular level every day with Games Daily that, like, remember, when we first started the show and you were joining us in 2017, right? There would be, it seemed like 3 months where every day we talked about loot boxes. Every day we talked about somebody doing fucking
it was
loot
getting kind of
boxes.
tiresome.
Totally. But and that's because we're doing it in the moment, day to day.
Yeah.
Whereas when you pulled out of a big picture, you get to see, like, here's where the trouble spot happened. And then 2 years later at E3, right, in 2019, it's everyone coming out and being like, everything's free. There's no season passes. There's no microtransactions. It's all here the way it's supposed to be. And you see that ripple effect of it changing, right?
Right.
In the same way, I feel really since Schreier came on, when Jason came out at GDC, and there was like, and was that this year or last year though? When Jason made his GDC appearance on Games Daily and was talking about, like, coming right off the heels of how much union talk there is at GDC, and I feel like now when we talk about these different articles about crunch, the shit riot, right? How people now the articles being like, I'm talking about this Dave Lang article, right, from Schreier over at over on Kotaku, right, of how Iron Galaxy avoids crunch. I feel like we're talking about crunch in the same way, where there are these inevitable ripples that are going to go out, and what does it look like in 2 years? What is the change? And I think the change will be not the end of crunch. I just think a more humane crunch. I don't know if you can end. When you say crunch, it's such a broad term. Where okay, cool, it's working long hours and it's doing all this different stuff, but there's the crunch that I feel the 14-person developers are doing because they love their game and they want to finish their game. And not to say these other people don't love their game. I know everybody loves their game. They want to finish it and they want it to do the best thing possible and they're all in it. Yay, drinking a beer, hanging out, having fun, right? And then there's the crunch of shit, fucking the Hauser brothers haven't left their office. We can't leave our office.
Right,
I want to
right.
go home to my daughter's recital, but I can't,
Right.
like that kind of thing. I think seeing that get snuffed out is obviously a good thing. Seeing, like, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to yesterday's episode with Andrea. Like, we had an article from an interview with Strauss Zelnick, right? Take-Two CEO, where he was like, I don't understand why people would want a union. It's like, what are you talking? Like, he's so disconnected. The fact that we're having the conversation of what the problems are, what the pain points are, what the actual workers themselves are getting up and saying the problems are, I think inevitably leads to, okay, let's fix this. Because again, I don't think the video game industry is filled with assholes that are trying to fuck everybody over and be complete jerks. There's definitely fucking scumbags, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that's the main thrust of the corporate overlords or the management in general. I don't think it's like that dire of like when not any other, but some of the other industries have unionized to basically overthrow this oppressive regime that wants them. It doesn't care if they die on the working room floor, right? I think that you're going to see changes. I think it is unsustainable. I think that we've lived long enough and been in industry long enough and had the stories go from celebrating the fact that the MLB, the show team, has like cots in the offices, the execs do, because they crash out there and sleep there during crunch. From celebrating those stories to now looking at the stories and be like, this isn't sustainable. This isn't the right way.
The attitude has shifted, right? And
100%.
that's what I'm getting at. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is the attitude towards that. It's no longer something to be celebrated. It's no longer, oh, look how hardcore we are. We now understand that work-life balance is important. We see it all over the place, like self-imposed work-life balance and anti-crunch is important as well. We see like Twitch streamers all the time burning themselves out because I'm going to do a 48-hour stream or whatever, and they kill themselves over
Jack
it.
Septiceye, just took in the last few months took a lot of time off, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I need to recenter, I need to fix this. Yeah,
you got to take breaks.
And so I think as an industry, they're waking up to it. And so it's the teeter-totter, it's the spectrum of, well, there should be nothing or there should be a union, and will it be somewhere in the center? Will you see people are always talking about like, well, unions are going to be so hard because there's so many different developers and industries. And it's like, cool. So is it going to be that the, employees at developer X make their own union, like small U union that is collectively bargaining and talking to management about what they need, what they don't need, like that exists there to try to help them? Is it that it'll be multiple, okay, we're the Santa Monica video game union, right? We're Naughty Dog and the Initiative and Insomniac. We're getting together that way and trying to hold it together. I think something is coming, something is changing, and I think these are the first steps towards it. And I do think, again, like you brought up, like bringing it to the national stage, right?
Yeah,
Calls
good
it
for
out.
Bernie.
Yeah, and puts it out in a way that we all know it's happening. We all know this conversation's happening, and I think the more eyes on it is what leads to change. It's
I think so. And again, whether or not this will move the needle at all, I don't know. But to the larger point, I do think that unionization is at least part of the solution. I think that I don't think that companies like EA and BioWare, well, maybe not EA, but companies like BioWare and these other companies we hear about Crunch all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think they're necessarily evil, but generally management gets away with what it can get away with.
Yeah.
And I'm a general believer in the idea that self-regulation doesn't work. Trusting big companies to regulate themselves and have kind of like corporate integrity and actually care about their employees the way that they profess to generally doesn't work. They will get away with what they can get away with. So I feel like unless there is some kind of external mandate or pressure that they cannot ignore. Well, I mean, this is again, we wouldn't, if self-regulation worked, we wouldn't be seeing these stories about crunch.
100%. And the reason if this is your loot box, where you're like, I'm so sick of crunch and unions, you're gonna hear about it more because it isn't even about this getting announced now, right? It's about that we are all sitting here, and maybe I'm just talking for myself, maybe, and obviously for you and enough people, but like, I don't want my creators, my artists who are making the art I love to miss out on life events for video games, right? I want my games as quickly as possible, and like when Animal Crossing got pushed, it was like, But it's also like, no, I mean, take all the time you need. I'm going to be there for Animal Crossing when I get it. Don't kill everybody. I don't want people missing family events and not seeing loved ones and not going home and not having bad sleep schedules and getting ulcers. And no, I don't want that. I want everybody taken care of. Crunch sucks, and the oppressive crunch sucks and needs to be fixed. If the way you work is to be crazy and okay, I'm not gonna get in your way. I don't know. I'm not saying they should lock the doors of the studio and throw everybody out or something. You know what I mean? But I don't. That's why it's a complicated issue. I don't know how to fix it. But what we need in the reporting, right, is what we're getting, where we're gonna get check-ins, right? This is not video games, but it kind of is, right? Rooster Teeth just had a thing go through on the Reddit this week where there was a thing about the Glassdoor reviews on the site, Glassdoor, where you can go review places to work or whatever.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of reviews went up that were like, hey man, it's crunch over there and it sucks, right?
Oh, Rooster Teeth?
Yeah,
okay.
on their animation teams.
Okay.
So not I don't know anything about it because, well, I don't know anything about Rooster Teeth, period. But I definitely, this isn't like Bernie and Gus's Rooster Teeth. This is the animation, Genlock, all that stuff. And pretty much, it was like one of those things where I woke up in the morning and saw it making the rounds on the subreddit. And then by the time I got to the office, Matt from Rooster Teeth, who's whatever big wig title he has now, had already put up a blog statement on it, right? Of like, hey, like I wanted to chime in on what we're seeing on the Reddit. We understand that this is something we knew that it was something to the effect of like we knew that we were pushing too much and we're already looking at how to change this and already doing that and stuff, right? I saw that and I was like, okay, great, awesome, they're gonna fix it because number one, I know Matt personally. And number two, I know Rooster Teeth I know the people who work at Rooster Teeth, and I definitely don't think at the top of Rooster Teeth, Bernie's rubbing his hands like trying to fuck over his workers, right? I'm not there for the day to day. I don't know how it happened. He announced employees shifting around there, like leadership teams shifting around. People I don't know from Adam, so maybe they suck. I don't know. But it's that thing of taking my personal investment out, knowing Matt personally, right, from the Gauntlet and just being around it, Rooster Teeth. Now it is cool. Somebody has to follow up with that in 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, right? Is it all lip service? Is it not? And that's what we're seeing here too. Of like, cool, things are bad, and people are talking about how to fix it, and developer and publisher X and Y are saying we're not going to be that way. We're going to be better. Hip hip hooray. Cool, prove it. And it's the same thing with Riot, right? In a different way, in a different thing of like having a toxic culture of cool, there's been all this reporting on all these protests on it, and they keep saying they're doing it. And when they did the last round of protests where there was the walkout at Riot, right? Riot's response was, well, cool, and we don't agree with that part of it. We're working on it in collective bargaining. But they had basically the roadmap of changes they're making with checks next to what they've done, what they're looking to do right now, what the next 6 months are going to do with the 12. That's the transparency you need to make sure this is getting better. And you got
to check back in on that stuff though.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of times these companies say all the right things, make all the right moves because again, it's what they feel like for their own image they need their audience to see. But you got to make sure there's. I mean, I'm sorry if some members of our audience find it repetitive or boring that we keep talking about, crunch unionization and some of the less fun things that goes into making all the fun things that we enjoy. Too bad. I feel like it's an important part of what we do here is very silly, it's kind of funny, but people like Jason trying to, it's the job of all of us, whether it's kind of goofy commentators like ourselves or more serious journalists like Jason. I think we all have a responsibility to pay attention to this stuff and hold their feet to the fire and make sure that it isn't just something they can slap up an impressive roadmap and then hope that in the very short attention spans we have these days we'll move on to something else and they can just throw it away.
100%.
We've got to check back on these guys and make sure they're actually following through.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, we'll know if they were. One of the nice things about the internet and the social media age is there's a million different ways now for whistleblowers to get this information out there.
Right.
And we're seeing it more and more.
And I think, for me, it falls back to, and it's actually in the article Bernie tweeted out, I started reading, I got maybe halfway through. It's told through the lens of one of the Telltale employees, right? And like, I think that's like such the example of why I think the unions or something needs to come in and be there for these people, right? Let alone the fact that it's talking about, this fan who got hired, dream job, develops an ulcers, coughing up blood because of the working thing.
Oh my God.
But it's more the fact of, remember how overnight Telltale was gone. All these people lost their jobs. They had no benefits. It was 2 weeks of salary or something.
Yeah,
to that
totally
effect.
cut loose.
Yeah, no medical benefits. Like, that's where you need someone fighting and protecting, where collective bargaining helps, I think, in a lot of ways that individual employees don't.
Right.
So we'll see.
I'm telling you, and there's a lot of bullshit out there. Companies always like to talk about their employees like their families. They're not your family. Honestly, I guarantee you that 99% of the companies people work at, your boss does not give a shit about you. And
That's definitely true here. Fuck you, Kevin.
And that's why it's so easy for them to cut people loose. You know, they just do. Again, it's all about the bottom line, and it's very disheartening.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some you're wrongs in here. Lord of Pwn says Jason was on Kind of Funny Games Daily during GDC in 2018. So that's how long we've been talking about unions.
Just last year.
And I feel like it keeps ramping up. And then Nanobiologist points out Matt Hullum is the CEO of Rooster Teeth. I said a highfalutin title, and that's pretty highfalutin.
kind of impressive what they built over there at Rooster. Considering I remember when it was two guys making. Red versus Blue, like Halo machinimas. It all started from that, didn't it?
Yeah.
The empire they built over there.
Exactly.
And I happened to be watching reruns of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
And Bernie's on an episode. He's got a little cameo.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Bernie?
Yeah.
I spotted him.
Look at you.
How did he pull that off?
I think.
Does he know the guys or something?
I think so. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Maybe they like his content
joint
or whatever.
Fandom, yeah. Well, because they're big video game guys. They were on the Ubisoft stage.
Because Rob's doing this video game show.
Yeah,
now, right? Yeah.
What do you know about it? You
I don't
writing
know,
on it yet?
I don't know much about it. I know that obviously it's my cup of tea because it's a subject I am invested in.
Yeah.
And those guys are hilarious. I think it's a great combination. I think it's going to be a really funny show.
Okay. Number 3 on the rope report. We have the NPD results for May 2019. This is from Matt Piscatella on Twitter, of course. What up, Matt? Here are your top 10 games for the month of May. These are physical and full game digital for publishers in the digital leader panel, ranked by dollar sales. Number 1, Mortal Kombat 11. Number 2, Days Gone. Number 3, Total War 3 Kingdoms. Number 4, Bethesda. Number 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 6, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 7, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 8, MLB 19, The Show. Number 9, Minecraft. It's back. And then number 10, NBA 2K19. Worth pointing out that both from Matt's graph here, Super Smash and Rage 2 have asterisks next to them. I believe that means they're excluded from the digital sales, but you can kind of funny you're wrong me on that if you want.
Just a little note on Days Gone, which has been noted is selling really very well.
As Matt reports, Days Gone was the second best-selling game of May, repeating its April performance.
What I'm also noting...
And is now the 8th best-selling game of 2019. I apologize.
It's impressive. What I'm also noting from keeping my ear to the ground on the social media and Twitter is that I feel like the narrative is changing a little bit. When the game first came out, it was a big critical pile-on. Remember? Sure. There was like a lot of the critics were really harsh on it. And it put me off playing it. I had a copy of it, and I was like, oh, maybe after these reviews, maybe I don't want to get into this. The game seems broken. Seems like just maybe like just another video game. Like what's special about it? And it put me off. But I started to see over time people warming to it more. And just the other day, I can't remember. I'm blanking on who it was, but there was someone I follow on Twitter, either another filmmaker or another writer or a creative person whose opinion if they say something, oh, maybe I should pay attention. I had a big tweet about I don't think people are giving enough credit to Days Gone. It's actually really good. It actually has a really good story. A lot of the bugs have been fixed in the patches now. This game should be getting more attention. It obviously is getting plenty of sales attention, but I wonder if the critical narrative over time might shift as people look back and reflect on it. That initial kind of very harsh critical reaction. I don't know. Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit, and maybe it's a better game than that first critical reaction.
Well, this is why you need to play the games, Gary. When I give you the games, play them. Just try them out. You know what I mean?
I get it. I only have so many hours in the day, and if I have a game that suddenly is getting critically, getting the shit kicked out of it,
sure.
I think, maybe I'll play something else that is going to be better. I've been playing other stuff, but I'm inclined now to actually give it a chance.
Well, I always bring this up, and I always get the year wrong, but it doesn't matter. GDC. When I was still at IGN, we went to see Eric Brudvig, former IGN guy who was working at EDAR at the time, who does all the mock reviews and studies review data and all that jazz, do a panel. And the most salient point I took out of it, right, was that review scores don't matter. What matters is getting your game reviewed. People, if the review's good, mediocre, terrible, that over time matters less and less and less. It's just the fact that the game got reviewed and had people talking and has mind share that it's, even if you heard it was bad, then it's on your mind when you hear it might be good or when you see it scoring well or doing whatever, that there's that to it. Days Gone in particular, I think, is a very interesting case. It was a very bizarre launch, I thought, where it was the critical review and myself just like, I didn't enjoy this game. And I didn't hate it, as I said, right? I was just like, it's a mediocre game.
Yeah.
And then the other side pulling of the audience, and maybe just a vocal minority of people who played it and wanted to, not even in vocal minority in the bad way, vocal minority in the, just a few people who wanted to tweet about it. The audience being then positive about it, and it was this weird shakeup of, I think it got lost in the sea of like, I'm like, I think it's a mediocre game, right? But there were reviewers who were like just trying to crucify it and take it down. So then that got, all the criticism got lumped that it wasn't even that the game's, it's a 6, 5, 7. It was that it's a 4, right? And that made people come in, I guess, with maybe low expectations. And then when they started having good times, they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
maybe that's it. The expectations were set low initially by that first batch of reviews.
And what gets very interesting, I think, is where are we going to be a year from now with Days Gone, or even at end of the year? Is this a game you're going to look fondly on? People are going to look back on fondly and be like, you know what, this deserves a Game of the Year award. This deserves an award for best action adventure or best open world, whatever. Or is it going to be a year from now a game that I think falls into like the Mad Max category, where again, Mad Max didn't review well, but people really dug it. But I don't think you hear people talk about Mad Max a lot. It comes up occasionally. It's like, oh yeah, I played that. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Or is it going to be a game that people are like, no, this is like an infamous for people. This is a thing that really resonates with them and sticks with them.
You know how like in films, oftentimes when a film comes out, it doesn't always find its audience right away. Right. It doesn't get a great... But over time, people find it and it comes to be really well liked.
Yeah.
But it takes a while. Does that happen in games?
I think so. Yeah, I think now more than ever with updates, right? I think that's the biggest thing where you have...
because the game gives, it's not a static thing, right?
Exactly.
The film is the film forever.
Yeah.
But games can actually improve over time.
And that's the thing where, Days Gone did, like what there was, I don't remember exactly, I guess, obviously, but there was an article of like, Days Gone's been out for 6 days and it's had 7 patches. Like, you know what I mean? They clearly were doing stuff. But even beyond what I've appreciated about Days Gone is Sony Ben's commitment to it, and the fact that like they announced that like the content they're going to put out for it. I think they've already put out some of it, but like they're going to put out a harder difficulty. They're putting out challenges. They're putting out things you can do to get biker patches for the vest that'll make you more powerful in the game. And it's like that stuff. I'm like, oh, you know what? That actually because that was my thing. Sure, I had bugs and I fell through the world reviewing it. That was never. I didn't like the gameplay loop. I didn't think it was a rewarding loop. So when they started talking about that stuff, I was like, you know what? Actually, that is moving towards what my problems were with the game. Right? It still doesn't help me with. I don't like the way they set up the camps and the way they set up the credit system and the way they set up that I have to finish everything. There is no main path. The monotonous way missions are given and they're just the same thing over and over again. Maybe that will get fixed or changed or tweaked or whatever as well. But it's also video games. It's also art. It also is like. What do you take out of it? What do you want out of a game? And I think it did land at a good point in time where, again, it didn't have a lot of stiff competition around it. It wasn't like there was like things fighting on its date. So I think it is that game that you give a shot to. I think eventually they're going to put it on PlayStation Plus or give it a really steep discount, I think, and you'll see even more people jump in and be like,
it's interesting. I mean, I obviously in the case of like games like Anthem and Destiny, where they're kind of essentially living organisms that are constantly changing and growing and evolving, then yes, the perception of a game can change over time because the game fundamentally changes. With something like Days Gone, which is more of a single player closed experience, I think it's great that they're continuing to support it and add new features. What are they actually trying to achieve there, though? Are they trying to make the game appeal to the audience that didn't initially buy? Say, hey, we've got all this new stuff now. Maybe try it now. Or are they just trying to get the people who bought the game to like it more? Because they're not getting any more money that way. The only reason to keep supporting the game and adding features is presumably to try and find new people to buy it because they've got a different thing to offer now. I think it's a little column A, a little
column B. I think it is a thing of like, first off, you know how video game development. I know a bit of it. Like obviously you have a roadmap and a plan long before. Yeah, it's like they launched the game like fuck, critics didn't like it. Start making DLC. Like they were doing this stuff no matter what. Right. I think putting in the challenges, doing the photo mode stuff. It's about as everything else is in 2019 with the internet, building a community where I think they want to keep the people who really. Days Gone is a long ass game, right? And I think. When we're reviewing it, let's sit down and plow through it and do it. And obviously, when people got it, that's how people played it as well. I'm going to sit down and do all 50 hours in a weekend or whatever. There's a number of people who don't play games that way, right? Who do play to their heart's content at their own pace and are still playing Days Gone and haven't rolled credits and don't know, the main storyline beats. I think giving them a reason that when they turn it back on, like, oh, cool, you added more stuff. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think it's also the idea that, as always, I don't think PlayStation or wants people selling, and any publisher for that matter, selling their games back to GameStop. So if there's the promise that, hey, you really like this and we're putting out more challenges and a new game mode, a new game plus and all that stuff, so hold on to your copy goes far too. And it also, engenders goodwill in terms of awesome, like I bought this game and it is continuing to pay dividends on it. I liked it enough that I'm keeping it on my PlayStation cross media bar so that when they do drop new content, there's a reason for me to jump on my bike and run around and beat the hell out of some freakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Rebecca Valentine chimed in over at gamesindustry.biz and said software dollar sales hit 262 million for the month of May, down 13% year over year. Last month marked the lowest May software dollar sales since 2013 and the lowest May new release dollar sales since 1998. Year to date software sales are up 2% to 2.2 billion, with all platforms declining save for Nintendo Switch, which saw software sales grow enough to offset the drops.
Nintendo.
Can't be stopped.
I thought Nintendo was the big winner at E3.
Oh,
do you agree?
Did you watch our conference?
Yeah, of course they did.
Oh, okay.
I think there. I don't think there was. Was there a run? I mean, other than Keanu Reeves, was there a runaway winner?
When the biggest story is of E3 is a contest between a celebrity and a dog.
Yeah.
Maybe the games weren't that strong. I mean, I get it. We all love Keanu Reeves. And I'm the last person in the world to say anything. And it was a great moment.
Yeah.
And the whole "You're breathtaking." I loved all of that.
Yeah.
It was a nice nerdy moment. And the guy bringing his dog out on stage, that was cute as well. But it does kind of make you think, yeah, but what about the games? And there wasn't really it seemed like there wasn't really a standout, like one game that was like the game of E3.
Final Fantasy or Cyberpunk.
Maybe.
I think those are the ones people waffle between.
But even Cyberpunk, I feel like the story of Cyberpunk at E3 was like the beginning of a bit of a backlash because a lot of people are not liking some of the themes that Cyberpunk's exploring. As they're getting more into so they did some really. I don't know if you've been following this, but kind of more on the cultural side.
Yeah.
I noticed that there's been a little bit of a backlash now that people at E3 were able to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the gameplay and the story and to talk to the developers in more depth. There was a little bit of a backlash from people that are very familiar with the Cyberpunk culture and the board game and everything where they felt like from what they were seeing in the game and the story and the themes that the Cyberpunk game and the developers they felt the Cyberpunk people kind of fundamentally misconstruing and misunderstanding some of the themes that Cyberpunk is built on.
Sure.
Like
so like hardcore Cyberpunk fans are like this is
like that is actually they're saying like the way that for example the Cyberpunk developers are dealing with the way that the society in the world deals with and views body augmentation is fundamentally they argue the inverse of how it's supposed to be in the Cyberpunk world.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I'm not an expert. It was just interesting to see. My main point is I didn't really feel like there was a big standout other than Skatebird, which for me is the game of the show.
Yeah.
Thanks to the showcase for bringing it to my attention. But I kind of felt that I felt like if you had to say like who had the best showing, I'd probably say Nintendo.
Interesting. I think it comes down to personal tastes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's just where it's all over the map. I think Tim agrees with you, so you got that going for you.
Well, I mean,
Tim,
we're the Nintendo fanboys.
Before we trade off, I just want to get a few your wrongs in here. For MPT, Nanobiologist says the MPD asterisk actually means the one asterisk that I was talking about is no digital sales. So I was correct. That's not a you're wrong. And then Dano Bird. Yeah, Dano Bird says maybe Gary follows Rami Ismail on Twitter. You follow him, Vlambeer? He mentioned a creator he had an interesting take on Days Gone. Rami tweeted on May 27th, I've been thinking about Days Gone and I've concluded the following. While you're playing it, it's a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10. If you finished it, it's a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10. And as the memories of the super wide range of issues and problems and bad gameplay fade, it might turn into 8 out of 10 memory.
So that's maybe a good example again of how your memory or how you feel about a game can change over time. And I often don't like when I go see a movie. How I feel about the movie when I walk out of the theater is not always how I feel about it a day or a week or a month later.
Sure,
and that's true of games as well.
And that's the thing where I think you can sit there and be like, you forget the things that annoyed you in the moment, right? Or what you didn't like about it in the moment. And yeah, you do, like Rami's talking about. Maybe you just get hung up on how much fun it was to ride the bike or do this thing. And
right.
I've thought about it when they've done the DLC of the patches, like I was talking about. I was like, I should try that. I should kick that back on and go fight a horde and see what it feels like. But I haven't because there's a million other games to play. Hey, Gary, if I want to know what other hella games out there were to play, where would I go?
I already turned the page over.
You son of a bitch.
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah! Out today! Antiquia Lost on Xbox One. Another Sight on PlayStation 4. Shadow and Lies on PC. Mission Evil Guy on PC. Infinity Trap rehamstered PC and Mac. Oriza PC and Mac. Locomotives PC and Mac. Failed State PC and Mac. Double Cross launches on Xbox One.
A couple of PC titles there I might need to check out. The titles intrigue me.
Yeah.
Mission Evil Guy, I might look into that.
New dates for you. Harry Potter Wizards Unite is launching June 21st worldwide. Nowhere Profit launches July 19th on Steam. Power Rummy Neo, Nintendo Switch and Xbox One July 24th. I think it might just be Power Rummy. I think I meant to delete Neo. Irony Curtain comes to PlayStation 4 June 25th.
Irony Curtain, I have to know what they're just based on the title alone. I got to know what that
Nintendo
is.
Switch Thursday, June 27th. Xbox One Friday, June 28th. Speaking of Xbox One, let's talk about Game Pass. June 20th, Resident Evil Revelations comes to Game Pass, both of them. Right, yeah. And then Rare Replay comes to both of them on June 20th as well. June 27th, Torment Tides of Numeria and Goat Simulator. I'll say what I want. Goat Simulator. Come to both the Xbox Game Passes. Then leaving Xbox Game Passes for console. Next up, Hero leaves June 27th. Dead Island Definitive Edition, June 30th. Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, June 30th. Shadow Complex Remastered, June 30th. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, June 30th. And Zombie Army Trilogy, June 30th.
I got to look into this Game Pass. I had it for a brief while. I got to look into Game Pass again because they've done this new thing now, this Ultimate thing where they tie it into you get your Xbox Live and Game Pass all kind of bundled as
You
one.
get it for $1 right now.
You save a few, for 1 month, but
Yeah.
then they jack up the price. That's
Yeah.
how they get you. It's like that free crack rock they give you to get you. I mean,
Totally.
not that I would know. But
That's how they got you,
You know
Gary.
how they give you that free crack rock because they know you'll be coming back for
I
more.
can't walk around San
you
Francisco without being offered a free crack rock.
Offered a dime bag.
Time for reader mail. And Gary, I got some doozies for you. But first, let's talk about our sponsors. We're starting with GrubHub. Don't cheat. GrubHub, if you didn't know, is an app you can use to get food delivered to your door, just like we did, Kevin. Joey, here we go.
Joey brought something in over
Yeah, I
there
know.
that
We
I
had
think
bacon
might be
delivered this
relevant.
morning. It's been a great GrubHub sponsorship because it means free food getting delivered to the office. Thanks, Joey.
This is free?
Yeah. You're not allowed to
fantastic.
eat it on mic.
Do I maybe get an extra?
Oh my gosh.
bowl?
Oh, a breakfast
I got to
bowl
give
for
a shout
Big
out
Gary?
to GrubHub and say, hey, GrubHub, if you're listening, I'll say anything you want about your product. About your if you want to
Oh, yeah, the bowls.
if you want to get me like on a free account at GrubHub so I can get free shit.
Okay, first off, we don't even have that. The Happy Gilmore free card doesn't exist. GrubHub helps you find and order food from wherever you are. How it works, you type in an address and we tell you the restaurants that deliver to that locale, as well as showing you droves of pickup restaurants near you.
Where is this from?
This is from Bacon in San Francisco.
Oh,
They
look,
give
and
a
they've
bi-
actually got some bacon.
You don't eat it on the mic, Gary. You lean away from the mic when you eat that
I
bacon.
step away from the mic to eat bacon.
GrubHub gives you access to your favorite restaurants, reviews, and a 24/7 customer care team that tracks each order and makes sure you get exactly what you want. Further away! Stop smacking your lips. People hate it. The company's online and mobile ordering platforms allow diners to order directly from anywhere. Get $10 off your first order of $15 or more by downloading the GrubHub app and use promo code Kinda Funny. That's $10 off your first order of $15 or more by downloading the GrubHub app and using the promo code Kinda Funny. Next up is Broklinen. Making your home beautiful is the ultimate form of self-care. You spend a third of your life in the sheets. Don't you deserve to be insanely comfortable? And now that warmer weather is here, maybe it's time to switch up your sheets and duvets to something a little breezier, lightweight, and soft. Check out our newest linen collection with a beautiful assortment of colors. These are luxury linen sheets and robes without the luxury markups. Broklinen was the first DTC, direct-to-consumer bedding company, meaning they work directly with manufacturers and directly with consumers. No middleman, just a great product and service. They've got 12 beautiful linen colors and patterns to choose from. It's in their name, so you know it's got to be good. Broklinen.com is giving an exclusive offer to my listeners. Get 10% off and free shipping when you use the promo code GAMES at Broklinen.com. Broklinen is so confident their product that their sheets, comforters, and towels come with a lifetime warranty. The only way to get 10% off and free shipping is to use the promo code GAMES at Broklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Promo code GAMES. Broklinen, these are the best sheets ever. And final sponsor is Quip. It's time for spring cleaning, and Quip's got an easy way to start with brushing your teeth. Just 2 minutes twice a day can help pave the way to a healthier mouth and mind. And now, the whole family can get refreshed with Quip. The new Kids Quip has the same 2-minute timer and guiding pulses as the original version with no childish gimmicks, so they can brush like a grown-up. A built-in 2-minute timer pulses every 30 seconds to remind you when to switch sides to give you an even clean. Brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. A friendly reminder of when it's time to refresh, and you know everyone at Kinda Funny loves them. Tim left his in LA, and he already ordered a new one. I use mine and love it so much. I keep it clean every day, and I'm excited to take it to Montreal with me tomorrow.
Going to Montreal?
I am going back up to Quebec. You know what I mean? For the
In-laws?
Yeah. Well, a little. It's more for Jen work stuff and then seeing the in-laws and stuff like that. Doing a beer tasting. Very excited. Quip is one of the first electric toothbrushes approved by the American Dental Association. See why we love it and everybody else loves it. You can find out why 1 million happy, healthy mouths do too. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/games right now, you can get your first refill pack for free. That's your first pack free at getquip.com/games. Gary, don't look ahead. This first question I don't
No, I
want
was
you
going
to see.
to say, so you could order from GrubHub,
Yeah. Yep.
then brush your teeth,
Nailed it.
which is what you've got to do after you've eaten, and then go to bed in your Broklinen sheets. Your whole evening is sorted
Guys,
out.
we've just
From start
solved
to finish.
everything. You know what I mean? The 2038 Pokemon CEO writes in to patreon.com/kindafunnygames.
Pokemon
Are you not
CEO.
familiar with this man?
No, but I like the name.
There's a lot for you to find out about
I already
this man.
like this guy.
Kind of funny E3 game of the show. IGN Best of E3? No. Presenting Gary Whitta's I Don't Care of E3 2019. Greg, please rapid fire Gary anything about E3 to see what he does and doesn't care about with this year's show. Kebabs, get the care count ready. So Gary, Cyberpunk.
Is this like a binary thing?
Do you care or don't care?
I know there's no middle. It's just I got to go on with it.
Yeah.
Care. I'll play it. Yeah, it looks good. I'll play
Keanu
it.
Reeves.
Very much care. Of course. How can you not care?
Luigi's Mansion.
Care.
Avengers.
Don't care. Looks like a weird dollar store MCU.
Final Fantasy VII.
Do care. Never played the original, but love the remake. This is my big opportunity to get into Final Fantasy VII.
Stadia.
I do care. I ordered the Founders Edition, and I'm very optimistic about it.
xCloud.
Do care for the same reason as Stadia. I like all the. I'm in the cloud. My head's in the clouds, Greg.
Sure, I've known that for a long time. Gears of War.
Don't care. Lost interest in that franchise a long time ago.
Ghostwire.
Is that the one that
The Bethesda
cool
one.
Japanese?
Yeah. Ghostwire
developed game
Tokyo,
in?
right?
Yeah, I'll play that. Look good.
Deathloop.
Didn't see enough to know if I care or not, so I guess I don't care because I didn't even see it.
Got it. Fallout 76 NPCs.
Don't care.
PlayStation not being there.
I think Fallout 76. I think they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
Oh no, it's gonna be fun.
You think they're going to fix it? Because I heard the battle.
It's already fixed.
Let's throw in Battle Royale. Really feels like the last act of a desperate company, don't you think?
No, I think Fallout 76 is actually gonna rebound nicely. If it hasn't already.
All right,
I guess
look,
here's the problem is that we
did.
did Fallout 76 and then Anthem came. It's like, man, you fucked up. Oh my God, they really fucked up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm comparing two different things. I think Fallout 76.
Well, I mean, which one out of the box was more fucked up, Anthem or Fallout 76?
Ooh, man, that's a dissertation right there.
Right?
Because like Fallout 76 was fucked up on a technical level, right? Like things T-posing and not taking damage and like shitty connections.
It was badly broken.
Anthem was fucked.
Anthem was as well.
No, Anthem was fucked up in. Hey, wait, why there are load screens and then like not enough content? Like that was the Anthem problem more than it was a technical problem. Anthem was fun to play.
But you think so? You know they say there are no second acts in American life, but do you think that Fallout 76 can have a second act?
I think we're already part of it. I think the reaction to the E3 stuff was really positive. I think they've actually made a community out of that game that is positive. I turned it on the morning of the Bethesda conference because I've been feeling it. It's been calling to me to go back. And jumped in. I was like, oh my gosh, this runs so much better. And then when they announced the NPCs, I was like,
I don't want
fuck
to speak out of turn because I've not played it. Maybe they've added a bunch of good stuff. I just know that when they announced Battle Royale, I read that as desperation.
I see.
Let's throw in Battle Royale. Maybe that's a last ditch attempt to save it.
I read it as just like a, hey, here we're announcing the stuff you want in a Fallout game, NPCs and quest lines that matter and choices. So the game already is running better. Let's give you a mode today to jump in and try it.
Right.
And it's a mode that doesn't make you actually have to go through like stories and progression and all that stuff. You just jump in and play.
Maybe it's actually now a good time to jump in because it's so heavily discounted. You can get it for like 15, 20
they had that
bucks.
free weekend too.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. PlayStation not being there. Care or don't care?
Don't care. I actually think it's. I don't understand the point of E3. Just do your own thing. Let Xbox do their Inside Xbox. Let Nintendo do their Directs. Let PlayStation do their State of Play. Just do their own thing. I don't know why we need to bundle it all together into.
And
E3.
then Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
I care more about that than I care about Square Avengers.
Nice. Okay. So that's a care. You care
Yeah.
about that. You
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I mean, there's a few. I thought it'd be
There was
more.
a
I
mixed
don't care.
bag. I care.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you tallied that up, you would find that I cared about more things than I didn't care about.
Fun fact, says Pokemon CEO, he gave the 2018 Kind of Funny Games showcase. I don't care. What about the last show?
Well, again, even though I was rebuffed and wasn't invited to participate in it, I still support and enjoy it and thought it was very good. I liked it. I do care.
Thank you. That means a lot that you care.
I just I don't care about not being invited to participate or be a part of it.
Sure,
That I don't.
sure.
I couldn't care less about that.
It's hard to, you're always on the East Coast now. You're always
That's
flying
right. That's the
around,
problem.
jet
But
setting.
I do care about the showcase. I think it's a great thing that you're doing, highlighting smaller games. Again, Skatebird and a couple of other games I
Skatebird.
discovered from the showcase. I think it's a wonder. I think the showcase is doing wonderful work, and long may it continue.
Thank you. Final question is another Gary focus one. It comes from Borzen00. Good morning, Greg and Gary. This question is all about Gary's new passion of shouting out smaller Twitch streamers and highlighting them through his Twitter account. What makes these smaller streamers stand out to you, and ultimately, how do you find them? Finding a small and budding Twitch channel seems to be hours of scrolling and searching the site for specific keywords. So I was wondering what we can do as watchers of a fairly large channel to hunt down these smaller streamers and give them a shot at making it big. So if you're not following Gary Whitta on Twitter, get on it, because he does do a whole bunch of shout outs of I'm watching this guy.
Most of the smaller streamers that I have found and given shout outs to are in the retro category. You can subscribe to different categories.
Yeah.
Not just specific games, but
Sure.
like retro is its own. Like there are different channels. Like if you want to watch people play Apex, you subscribe to that channel and it will show you all the Apex streams. I used to subscribe to the PUBG streams, so I used to watch the PUBG players. And then the only two channels I currently, apart from like individual channels, like Kind of Funny, things like that, the only channels I subscribe to are retro, which is what people are playing all the old 8-bit games. And I've shouted out a lot of streamers from there. And one called Just Chatting, which is just people
Chatting it up.
And it's a lot of people talking nonsense. Yesterday I found a guy that was trying to eat 100 chicken wings in an hour.
Wow.
Watched
Did
him.
he do it?
He tapped out. He only got about 60 done in an hour.
Coward.
He was looking miserable by the end. Dude.
Yeah.
But I found so I'm going to give a shout out to my new favorite Twitch streamer. And I've got to try and get him on Kind of Funny because he's fantastic.
Okay.
He's called The Dapper Rapper.
Okay.
So it's just twitch.tv/The Dapper Rapper. And he's a freestyle rapper. And as you chat to him in the chat, he will incorporate your comments into his flows.
That's cool.
And he's a really good rapper, and he plays Fortnite too.
Wow.
So he will drop into Fortnite streams and start freestyle rapping and freaking people out because he's really good. Anyway, I've become a big fan of him. I'm in his channel a lot. Check out The Dapper Rapper, and I'm going to try and get him on Kind of Funny. I think he would be great for KFAF. You would love him.
Okay,
I want to
yeah.
see him and Andy do like a jam session.
Sure, yeah, hell yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
All right, I like your style.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, giving your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you, and everybody plays games together. Today, Chad needs help in Harry Potter Wizards Unite. His Twitter is Chadmikeinnis, Mikeinnis. Chadmikeinnis. Praise Dumbledore Wizards Unite is finally here. The new Pokemon Go-esque Harry Potter game comes out this Friday, and this little Gryffindor can't hardly wait.
That's what it is. It's like a Pokemon Go. Harry Potter.
You go
Okay,
out,
got it. All right.
you have port keys and you bust stuff.
Got it.
I'm looking for some best friends in San Francisco who want to meet up this Saturday, June 22nd, and run around diddling port keys, punching house
Diddling
elves,
port keys.
or whatever the hell happens in this game. Hit me up on Twitter at Chadmikeinnis. I'll be wearing my
So
knee-high
is this going to be
Gryffindor
like
socks.
remember when Pokemon Go was a huge deal and you would see people congregated around Pokestops?
Yeah.
Is this going to be that again, but now people wearing fucking Harry Potter robes? Because I'm not down with
Remains
that.
to be seen, but I doubt it'll be as big as
don't think it'll be
Pokemon
as big?
Go.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Pokemon
gonna
Go,
be as
man.
big.
Yeah, exactly. What a thing. I mean, and also, if Ghostbusters World can get as big as Pokemon Go,
Well, Harry,
there's
I
no
don't want
way.
to offend you, but Harry Potter is bigger than Ghostbusters.
Well, maybe, sure. There's 35 years, all right? Scoreboard, everybody. 35 years of Ghostbusters. Harry Potter's been what? 5, 4, 6 years?
A bit
Doesn't
longer
matter.
than that, I think.
Much longer than that.
No, you know what?
Those kids are all grown up.
It's time for You're Wrong! This is where people watching live on Twitch go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. Nanobiologist is setting Gary straight. Red vs. Blue actually started as an after-work project by Bernie with Matt, Gus, Jeff, and Jason. A little more than 2 people. They went full-time with Red vs. Blue and Rooster Teeth after working on the show for several years after their daily jobs.
So what part did I get wrong? Just that it was
I think
more
you
than
said
a couple
2.
of
You
people?
said it was 2 people, yeah.
Okay, yeah. A small team of guys just kind of doing Halo machinima in their spare time.
Yep.
And now a pop culture empire.
Chitty Chat. says Gary mentions that being a part of a union protects him from being treated like complete shit from Hollywood bigwigs. However, the union does not protect him from Greg. Watch your back, Gary.
Yeah, this work isn't covered by the WGA, so you can treat me as poorly as you want.
Slap him around!
Lord of Pwn has missed news for me from GameDaily.biz reporting that former Gearbox employee provides proof Randy Pitchford diverted
Saw this
funds
morning.
to personal company.
Yeah, he's got the receipts.
So is it just done so?
I don't know, but he's got some. Did
he file it in court? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he filed papers in court, and you can go onto the court website and see him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. Check it out. Okay, so Nanobiologist says to clarify, if you upgrade to Game Pass Ultimate, all of your remaining Xbox Live Gold rolls into your subscription and extends it. Each month of Gold adds two-thirds of a month to your Ultimate. That's too much math. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was too complicated for me.
Yeah, no, can't do it. Sorry, not gonna do it.
Also, you can get it by like getting Bing points, right? And like accruing
Bing
those.
points?
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
We talked
Bing?
about that. It's
such
not
a
that
sad
easy.
Remember when Microsoft was really trying to make Bing a thing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And they
Big
were
time.
actually paying. At one point, they were doing product placement and paying people on TV shows to say, "Hey, let's Bing it." Like nobody says that.
According to Tim Dutton, and you're wrong. Happy second anniversary, Kind of Funny Games Daily. I missed the beginning of the show, so you might have already covered this, but if not, thank you so much for everything you do to make this show happen each and every weekday. It means the world, the best friends, and the hard work. I guess it's our second anniversary.
Is it?
We did it!
Of what? Games Daily?
Yeah, I guess that's
Today?
I guess.
Really?
Kids are usually right about
Who
this
keeps
kind of
track?
stuff.
I mean, you can just look. I mean,
Wait, isn't there one guy that always sends you like?
that's when we hit like milestone
Oh, you're right,
episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of Funny Games Daily.
I mean, can you go
First
pull up the first? Are you able to do that?
Yeah,
Pull
I
up
mean,
the first episode?
YouTube's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
June 19th, 2017. There it is.
Woo!
There you
Holy
go.
shit! Who was on the first episode?
Andrea.
You and Andrea?
Yeah. Of course. I don't know why I said
Wow!
that.
Look at how far you've come.
I know,
in
right?
2 years.
I know.
Did the
See,
first,
we had that. Look at that. Nobody even remembers that. That's the original intro.
this
Oh
is
my
the
God,
very
are we
first
doing
one
a
we're
pizza
watching right
party?
now.
We are doing a pizza party.
There you go.
Literally. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily.
Oh look!
There it
You
is.
didn't even
There's our
have a
anniversary.
beard.
Of course not,
Pre-beard.
man. How
Dark times.
And look at it, what's annoying, of course, is that, and you can watch this on your own. Andrea hasn't aged. Looks the exact same.
No,
Very
she's
annoying to me.
ageless. But it's a little bit like Star Trek, and you're Riker. Starts without a beard.
Yeah.
Bit ropey at the start, but you grow the beard and then it gets good.
Yeah.
And now we're in the good seasons.
We're in the great seasons right now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every week down a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Watch it live. Twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Watch it later. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames. Listen on podcast services around the globe. As Kevin pointed out, there is a pizza stream today. We are doing a pizza party DiGiorno stream this afternoon. If you want to stick around and
Is
play.
that sponsored by DiGiorno?
It is, yeah. Mr. DiGiorno finally came through on us. We're playing charades, we're eating DiGiorno and hanging out.
Oh, really?
On the set.
When is that?
After KFAF, so not too long.
Oh, I have a call I gotta do.
Do the call on do the call here. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.